Some people just want to form a rock band and jam out with their friends on the weekend. But the key word is professional. So if you tell your parents that you choose music, they must have had a hard time with that. I don't imagine your brother saying, oh, this saxophone, I'm going to make a living out of this.
Well, the thing is, I come from an interesting family. My father was a great football player, and he also ran track. He was known as Dayton, and he had a lot of records that stood for years after he graduated high school. He went on to college and came back to Dayton and settled, but I was into music. I played sports and I was good at sports. I was nice on the baseball field. I was nice. My father was extremely fast in football. I wasn't so fast. I was quick and I could catch anything. But there came that time where, are you going to go pursue the sports angle, or are you going to get into music? Sports was something that my father did, and the Arrington name was built on sports. I'm Dan Arrington's son. You're going to do the sports thing. You're good at it. Yeah, but my heart is in the music. So, there was a transition there where my father and others was like, yo, man, the sports thing is a no-brainer. I'm like, nah, because I don't love it. I enjoy it. It's fun. I dig it, but I don't love it. Music I love, to the point that I can deal with the ups and downs. I can deal with the changing directions of styles. I'm willing to study. I'm willing to keep pushing myself and growing and enjoying. Sports was cool, but it didn't give me that.
So I bet your dad kind of blamed your brother for you joining the Soul Agents then. That's probably why your dad didn't buy you any instruments. Your grandparents were the one to do that.
Yes, and getting into the history. Well, my father wasn't against me. I mean, the thing is my mother and father were divorced when I was 8. And so, at that time, it wasn't that day to day, you know what I'm saying? We were cool, and my father would pick me up and he would take me to sports events, and I would tell him, I'm going to be playing, this particular club in Dayton. And I mean, because my brother played saxophone, and you mentioned the Soul Agents. Absolutely. And they would bring me along playing bongos. If they'd let me in. Some places I couldn't play. I was too little in the club, so on and so forth. But the music thing took over, and he was a sports guy too, my brother Victor. He went to Clark College, and he sustained an injury, so he only was there maybe a year and a half of his sophomore year before he got injured. But yeah, man, the sports music thing was, for a while, wasn't sure how it was going to go. And I will say this, I remember this happened. I was supposed to be at a baseball practice, and then I was supposed to be at this drill team practice. And then there was also a practice for this band I was playing with called the So Illusions and Eluders. And I had to pick which one I was going to do. And I went with the band practice. And at that point, there was a slight confrontation with the others. But then that's when I made my decision. And so I started to completely focus in on music, and music that was more being in a band and that sort of thing, orientated on drums. And yeah, my grandparents bought me my first drum set, Slingerland. Yeah, Metal Flake. Yeah, Slingerland set. Dope, man. And that started me seriously in the drum. And prior to that, I was on pots and pans and books.
And they introduce you to, icons like Aretha. Growing up as a child, you're listening to Tammy Terrell and Little Anthony and the Imperials. Tell me how I can get my small kids into that music, Steve, because I'm struggling with top 40 radio.
Since you didn't have the access that you have now to get music exactly what you want to hear, today, if you're into a style and you can get so many outlets to listen to just what you want to hear. Back then, AM radio, FM radio. I remember before FM radio really kicked off.
Who's speaking out from under our stairs?
AM radio. So we're listening to some soul stuff, but we're listening to Everyone Knows It's Windy. And windy has stormy eyes. We're listening to that too, right? So my introduction to many styles of music, with my one brother being a saxophonist, he was more into James Brown and he was more into the counts or the meters. And then I had another brother who would introduce me to the Doors and show tunes. He actually took me to New York once with him and his friend, his girlfriend that he had at the time, and we went and saw Melba Moore as she did Pearlie on Broadway. So my music taste, and my mother was into Aretha, but then she was into early Aretha when she was on, I think it was on Columbia, and she was doing more jazz, Skylark, tracks like that. We love the soul Aretha, but I also enjoy the jazzy Aretha. That was always around the house, and that kind of music, the variance of the music, is what I listened to. And so I developed at an early age to dig a lot of different things.